Hmm. Oh, that's not where I want to be. That's better. Okay, now I'm ready to go, I think. Hmm. This is weird. Oh, well.
Is that the word of the season?
I guess I have to be careful what I say, right?
All right.
Good morning, Mala.
Good morning, Steve and team.
Weird and creepy. Weird and creepy, I think, is the exact.
I want to add joyous.
I'll go
The
with that.
joyful warriors.
Yes, indeed.
But I can't find the. Huh, why isn't it there? Oh, well.
I had trouble finding the link, Steve, in the email.
I'm going to have to work on that. So, Gordon, you and I should probably talk. I would certainly welcome your input about how do we make everything more user-friendly for you and others.
I'm sort of used to the challenge of it, frankly. About 65% of all websites are inaccessible. And yet in the next couple of years, they're going to be enforcing the laws. So it's a time for rapid expansion
Yeah.
for skills and skills training, I would think. Yeah.
I can't find the link to turn on the optimize for video rules breakout. Huh. Well, actually, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. And show captions. That's what I'm looking for. And now I'm going to share again. Okay, sorry about that. For some reason I couldn't find the link to turn on the captions. So I wanted to make sure and do that. So good morning, everybody. Welcome again. Do we have any new people this morning who are joining us for the first time?
Yes, Theo Rosinski is here for the first time. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, who is that, please?
Theodore Rosinski.
Okay, can you tell us who you are, please?
Sure. I have approximately 15 years in the data center and telecom industry. I resided in Chicago for 20 years. I've been in Arizona the last 4, and I work for data centers. And I'd like to just understand more about Arizona and how you're deploying and who it helps and
Great.
how I might possibly be able to help. Thank you.
Great. Well, welcome. Anybody else that's new this morning? It doesn't look like it. So let's, whoops, I don't want that. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I seem to be discombobulated this morning. So we actually have a fairly lengthy agenda this morning, so I want to get right into it. So again, just a reminder, if you haven't filled out our form, excuse me, our Google form, please do so that we know who's participating, how to reach you, your email, and all that sort of stuff. So we really appreciate it if you would do that. Secondly is, as you know, I send out a fairly comprehensive newsletter after each meeting, sometimes the next day, preferably. And usually most of the stuff that's covered in the meeting, so if anybody shares links, contacts and stuff like that, that I do share the chat and so forth. And so just a reminder that you'll be able to find almost anything that's discussed in this meeting in our follow-up to the meeting. So I just want to remind you about that. So the next thing is that we have I think you all know, and today I will get out hopefully a separate email about this, but on August the 29th, our meeting is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be from 8 o'clock to 9:30 instead of usual 9:15. And we're going to be discussing public networks, and not just municipal networks, but public networks. Public networks are a little bit different in that we talk about municipal networks, co-ops, open access, tribal, public-private partnerships, and other community and member-owned broadband networks. And so we're going to be talking about a range of those things. We have a great panel of people lined up to participate in that discussion. So I encourage you to mark your calendar. I will get a calendar invite out to you, hopefully today or tomorrow. But please encourage, and I'm asking you all to invite other people, even if it's one person, or send it out to your networks or anybody that you know that you think would be interested, particularly if there's anybody in local government, local communities, that we definitely want to get the word out about public networks. So I would really appreciate your help when you get my email to forward it on to other people. Any questions about that? Going once, going twice. Okay, so I haven't seen Kelly. Are you online yet? Kelly
Yes,
Kirsten?
I am here. I'm not sure if Sandeep is here yet, but
Was he supposed to be?
yes, he was planning on it, but I haven't heard from him since he left from Denver, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I am fully prepared and can share some updates.
Okay, so why don't you, Kelly, why don't you go ahead? First of all, introduce yourself, Kelly, and why don't you give us a quickie update on what's happening? And particularly, you have a number of events and stuff happening that you certainly want to let people know about.
Yes, and actually, hold on, I do think Sandeep is coming, so I'm just going to speak until he is here. My name is Kelly. Thank you, Steve, for having us and always giving us time. My name is Kelly Crucy. I work for the State Broadband Office at the Arizona Commerce Authority, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager. So that means my job is to make sure that we are trying to meet with everyone in the state, with the stakeholders, understand what the needs are, but also communicate what it is we're doing and really try to keep everyone informed. And I am, I think, in my 4th month now and just constantly learning that there are always ways for us to improve. So send your ideas, your thoughts to us. We're doing the best we can, keeping up with a constant, ever-changing environment. As you all know, things change considerably, and we're just trying to keep federal, state, information clear and provided to everybody. So as you all know, on Monday, we had a big announcement, and that came from the NTIA and Governor Hobbs, and it was announced that Arizona's BEAD Volume 2 proposal was approved, which is very exciting. We've been waiting for that. And so excited that it happened. And now that kicks off a number of things for us. So as you can imagine, things have been a little bit hectic. But as far as next steps and what to expect, I would say, so based on what we're hearing from Sandeep, he had said in a panel at Mountain Connect that the tentative project areas should be released in a month. And then also we're looking at September Sometime between now and September is when the preparation for sub-grantee applications will be, and that window will open in the fall. So we're just trying to get the dates and the timeline together. That's the biggest question we're receiving, is that timeline. And then once that timeline is established, then we will be putting together our webinars. We're trying to line up how often do we want to host webinars, and when I say do we want to host, how often are they needed? What is it that we can do to, again, keep everybody informed? And we will be hosting those in-person forums for local government, for ISPs, and also for tribal entities. So we're trying to get everybody together to collaborate and discuss the opportunities that are in front of everyone, and the best ways to make use of this funding that we have available. I also want to put out there that Erin did send an email from the broadband account earlier this week about the database that she put together for digital equity, for the capacity grant. So she's trying to get an idea of what is it that stakeholders throughout the state are trying to do if they're applying for that capacity grant. And she wants everyone to be aware of what everyone is. I will find that link and plug it into the chat. Gordon was great in letting us know that we need to there's room for improvement when it comes to I think the accessibility on that form. And so we know there are challenges with Google Forms. This is a Microsoft form. It's a Google or Excel form. So anyhow, I'll put the link in the chat for that. And I can see there's some stuff happening in the chat. But again, we're trying to get an understanding of what everybody's thinking about. We have no role in this, but we want to definitely provide visibility so everyone knows what everyone else is doing. And then also, again, that provides an opportunity for collaboration. So I think those are the updates from us. I will plug those links into the chat. Are there questions I can attempt to answer? I can see, I think Sandeep is here.
Okay. So Kelly, before we go to Sandeep, so you have a newsletter that you send out, and you commented that that Erin sent an email. And so if any of you are not on that list, if you put your contact information, and of course I do collect everybody's email, but if you are not receiving that, put that comment in the chat, and we'll make sure that Kelly gets that and gets you added to their email.
Thank you, Steve. I definitely appreciate that. I will plug some information into the chat. I can't talk and do that at the same time. I'm not talented that way, but definitely you can put your email here, or I'll put my email in there as well. You can email me. We want to make sure that gets to everyone. And I will say, when we're sending out newsletters, you know, we're in a time of transitioning with our contact lists. And so you might receive emails from us more than once. And I will apologize for that now. I would rather you get it twice than not at all. So just please be patient with me as I work through that. I just want to make sure that any information we're sending gets blasted to everyone. And hopefully you don't get that more than twice, but that just means you're on several lists and we're consolidating them.
Yeah. And generally, I try to take the information that she sends out and put it in our newsletter also as a reminder. So I certainly want you to receive their information directly from them. So any questions for Kelly? So did I understand, Sandeep, you're online?
Yes, sir.
So you just got back from Denver?
Yep, late last night.
Yeah.
Flight
I saw
was
you were on a panel.
actually, I was in 3 panels.
You're in great demand, huh? Well, you're on. So, Sandeep, you have some things you want to share?
Sure. I think I will echo what Kelly said. Kelly is doing a phenomenal job. I want to highlight this. I'm sure everyone in this call will agree with me. Promoting the work great work broadband team is doing, and I'm lucky to have the team is coming together. I'm lucky to have this team on our side while we are going through this process. I'll just emphasize on some of the things Kelly said. There will be a tentative market sounding map which will be available pretty soon. And what does this market sounding does? It's not a mandatory state by NTIA that we have to open a tentative market sounding map. It's something we are doing on our side to kind of test the water. We are dividing the whole state into 65 to 75, can be 80, can be less, like around 65 project areas, and we will put them out. And when you look at that map, probably later end of this month or beginning of next month, you will see only BEAD eligible areas. That means unserved and underserved. There will be no more, there will be no additional households in there. So if you don't see any area, that means that was probably currently under consideration or already excluded from the BEAD map. The map which we will publish will will be based on the tentative data what we submitted to NTIA through the challenge process. So please, those are not finalized. So I would highly recommend don't take that as the last published map. You have to wait until we open up the sub-grantee selection process. But the most probably project area will remain same with some addition and subtraction of the household in that specific area. We will accept comments from the BEAD eligible entities. That means internet service provider, telecom companies, local government, tribal government, and nonprofit. It will be open for everyone and anyone who wants to see. That is going to be our target, but comment will only accept it from the BEAD eligible entities. And we will see that which area has better interest, which area doesn't have any interest or less interest. We will restructure those project area before we open up actual sub-grantee selection process. So that's what we are looking at. Most probably this project area tentative map will be open for 45 days. So tentatively, if we open it up in September 1st, it will be open until October 15th. As you are probably all aware, we have 365 days to complete the whole final proposal, and that includes a 30-day public comment period. So before we submit our final proposal, which is nothing just but all the proposal for all project areas stapled with a cover letter, we need to keep it open for 30 days for public comment, and we will have 15 days on our side to update the plan based on the public comment if it's necessary. So the timeline is very short. Next 1 year is going to be grueling. We will try our best to make sure that we are intaking 2 rounds of application in this time being. Another thing which will go parallel with the tentative project area map is pre-qualification round. Again, this is not another mandatory thing by NTIA, but it's highly recommended by NTIA. What does pre-qualification round do? If you are an ISP or an interested entity who wants to apply for BEAD funding, before even you apply for BEAD funding, there are certain requirements you need to meet to apply for BEAD funding that requires like your financial document as an ISP, tax returns, your history as a telecom business, other compliance document, including labor and workforce. So those need to be uploaded in our system to make sure that you're crossing the fast path before even you apply for BEAD funding. It is highly, highly recommended. It will go parallel with the market sounding map. So as an ISP, you can register, provide us with those documents, and we will provide feedback on that. It is also acceptable to register during the sub-grantee selection process, but highly recommended you get into that process earlier than that. So if you're missing any documentation during the sub-grantee selection process, will be in a quiet period. That means sometimes it's difficult for us to directly reach out and request for those documents or revision of those documents. So it is highly recommended to kick off those process. So during the sub-grantee selection process, you are only submitting the engineering drawing or your interest on a project area or financial documents related to that project area, matching letter, your bonds regarding that 25% matching, etc., etc. So it's highly recommended. So that's some things which is coming on the horizons, and happy to take any question regarding that.
Sandeep, just so I think most of the people on this call probably know who you are, but Sandeep is our state broadband manager. So just so you know that.
Sure.
So Sandeep, I think I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw that NTIA is kind of looking at trying to change the guidelines regarding fiber versus fixed wireless. Is that correct? And are you rethinking that, or what's happening in that space?
I wouldn't say they're trying to change it, Steve. What they're trying to do, the alternative technology piece has always been a little bit fuzzy, and it's a gray line to walk around. So they're coming up with more guidance. That means, to give you an example, we know that licensed fixed wireless is the only acceptable method as of today, and it can only deliver based. I mean, if you're using CBRS and you're an ISP, in most of the cases, if you use the full CBRS 3.5 gigahertz of spectrum in GAA level, you can get 100 by 20. That's the best case scenario. That's actually the bid requirement as well. But you can mix up multiple frequencies. It's called carrier aggregation, and you can deliver almost a gig speed over wireless at this point. And that's what the RDOF providers are doing currently. So it's a proven method, right? So there was a big question from the state broadband office: how to evaluate this application? If there is a wireless provider who's delivering 1 gig using carrier aggregation, so in the mix there is an unlicensed frequency. So how do we evaluate those? So there are more guidelines coming around it. They're not trying to change any technology or fiber priority. Fiber is always going to be a priority. We are calculating, we're running the numbers on our side, Steve, to see which area we should get fiber. But also, please do remember that we lost quite a few households during the challenge process and federal funding. That means when we got our funding allocated, we had 320,000 households, and currently we have less than 320,000 households. I don't want to quote the exact amount of number right now without the challenge process getting approved. So that means we have more money for the household we currently have. And it is very important to understand, when the project area map opens, the tentative one, it's up to the ISP some point that which area they want to deploy fiber. So we will definitely negotiate, but some areas, even though if we are open to deploy fiber, probably it will depend on the ISPs that what kind of technology they want to deploy there. Because BEAD, as you are probably all know, and this is a question for last 1 year or 18 months, that BEAD only pays for the CapEx cost. It doesn't pay for the OpEx cost. So sometimes it heavily depend on the ISPs that what type of network they want to deploy, and they will be managing in a coming future. The new NTI guidance document will just provide more clarification. I wouldn't say that anything. I would say there is not a major change coming in this process on mix.
Well, if I understood also, Sandeep, that they are looking at rethinking, related to what you were just talking about, that they're rethinking satellite, and of course specifically Starlink.
I mean, we always considered satellite in the process, Steve. If you look into our volume 2, we knew that there are areas here in Arizona does not even make sense to deploy fixed wireless broadband, because if there are only 5 households in 10 square mile area, it is financially not feasible for us to build a tower. The tower can cost sometime $1.5 million. Maximum I'm talking about, and then putting equipment, connecting that tower with fiber or power. If there is no power, there are tribal area, there is no power. So it is better for us and easy for us to achieve universal connectivity through satellite. And in that case, this is not only satellite. Satellite will be provided with some solar power system so that they can use it if there is no power available. So it's always been our plan. I think East Coast states are getting more clarification right now, but satellite has been always part of our plan.
Thank you. Any other questions for Sandeep or comments?
Sandeep,
go ahead, Bill.
Sandeep, any idea when you might be releasing the results of the RFQ on with Workforce?
Are you talking about the consulting RFQ?
Yes.
Should be soon, but you will get notification through ACA procurement system. It's an active procurement, so I don't want to make any comment here.
No, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Sandeep?
Yeah.
If not,
Steve, this is Michelle. Steve,
go ahead,
this is
Michelle.
Michelle. I do have one question. It's related to the satellite broadband. Starlink does not have a low cost option. Is that something they're going to have to comply with? Should we use satellite to provide service in Arizona?
That's a great question, Michelle. I mean, there is a gray area around the 100% connectivity achievement, right? So sometime if there is a project area, I'll use a broader example to answer your question. Sometime if there is a project area and we have only one applicant, and the application has a prior default or prior labor violation or something, unfortunately, we have to go with that one applicant without assessing or without fulfilling all the requirements, because at the end of the day, we as a state broadband office, and this is not only true for Arizona, it's true for all the other state, we need to have an option where they are connecting every single household. So when we get into a gray area like alternative technology, especially like satellite, then it is very difficult for us to kind of enforce a low-cost option if it's not a fiber priority area or wireless non-priority area. So, Michelle, to answer your question, as of now, Starlink doesn't have any plan like that, because if they want to meet the BEAD threshold, which is 100 by 20, at this point, I think the bill is $115. We really bet on SCP when we wrote volume 2, because at that time SCP was still active and Starlink was going through an approval process to get SCP eligible, but that went away. We are currently in discussion with Starlink, actually all the other states, to create a low-cost option, but it seems it's difficult in a situation where we are standing right now, because if we want to meet the BEAD requirement 100 by 20, it would be that's basically their highest tier at this point in a consumer level, but business level they have other speed tiers, so it would be difficult to meet that requirement. So we can definitely touch base offline, Michelle, but at this point there is no solution, or there is no straightforward answer of the question you asked.
Okay, that sounds good, because I mean, I get what you're saying, but also they have equipment charges and all kinds of things. So I think it's something that we have to look at as to how do we remove barriers for those consumers, because you're talking about them potentially providing service in areas of our state where these individuals probably are low income.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so,
Absolutely.
yeah, and so the equipment, their low package for equipment is $299,
Right.
and that's not even the monthly bill.
Right. And just for everyone's clarification, I mean, we are the one who will buy that equipment and ship it to them. And as per the NTI guideline, I'm not exactly sure about the timeline. I have to check. Please don't quote me on that. I think we will reserve those Starlink kits for 8 years, and then we will be able to ship it to them once they request. But the question remains to who will set it up, right? That's a question regarding digital equity. I mean, we are shipping equipment to someone who never used internet before. So how to set it up? And there is no power. Their additional equipment will be shipped with that. Who sets it up? So there are a lot of questions we are thinking. That's why, Michelle, our target would be as much wireless connectivity as much as possible. But again, there are some areas, and those will be published. I just want to highlight one more thing, and that's a great question, Michelle, that there is no matching requirement for extremely high cost areas. So these areas where we are thinking of deploying alternative technology that will be immune from any matching. So I think that might be a great use case for our wireless service provider here in Arizona, and highly recommend them to apply.
Yes.
So I think it would be.
Open the door. It's okay.
Are you on the phone?
So I think it would be a great approach going forward there. But Michelle, your question is fully valid. I wish I had the perfect answer, but we will keep you posted as we go along in the process.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sandeep. Thanks for being here this morning. Good to see you.
No, thank you for having me, Steve.
You betcha. You're always welcome. You know that. Okay, let's move on. We got a lot of other stuff to cover this morning. So why isn't this working here? There we go. So Kelly, I don't remember if you mentioned that August 20 that the ACA is holding a digital equity webinar on managing a federal grant as a sub-grantee, and Local First is actually going to be doing a presentation about that. Did you mention
You're
that,
right.
or did I miss it?
I did not mention it, but I plugged into the chat, the registration link, but you just said everything. Thank you, Steve. Aaron is hosting that on the 20th, coming up in about a week and a half. And just like you said, Local First Arizona is a guest in that, so that'll be a great discussion. I think she's also got her September date scheduled as well, and she'll share that in the August meeting. But thank you, Steve, for catching that.
You bet. And so last thing, and Sandeep, if you're online, or Kelly, that the broadband office was looking for a budget and compliance manager. Is that position still open? Are you still looking for someone?
I defer to Sandeep on that. I haven't heard updates, but my understanding is that it might still be open.
Okay, Sandeep, are you still there? Sounds like he may be gone. Okay, well, we'll check into that. Okay, moving on. I don't believe Nicole is here this morning. So let's move on. Actually, we're just hearing from Michelle a couple of minutes ago. Michelle is the executive director of the Office of Digital Inclusion for Pima County, which is doing absolutely great stuff. And so, Michelle, we were talking about partnerships for digital equity, and so they're off and running. And so, Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you. That I know you're looking for partners.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Steve, for the time just to chime in real quickly. Again, my name is Michelle Simon. I am the director of Pima County's Office of Digital Inclusion. And we are working on a collaborative project. At this point, it's for Southern Arizona, Pima County, Santa Cruz County, and Cochise counties to do telehealth access and digital health navigators. If there are in that type of project, we will be including community healthcare providers. Our public health offices are participating in the effort, United Way, and we're talking to other entities. Literacy Connect just reached out this week, so I am very interested in hearing from anyone who has a passion about telehealth. And we will be having a conversation with the library next week to see how we can make this happen for not just Southern Arizona, but for the entirety of the state of Arizona. So feel free to reach out to me. Steve, if you would do me a favor and just put my email in the chat, I would appreciate it since I'm on my telephone. Thank you.
I will do that, Michelle, and I've also had included that announcement that you just made in my newsletter last time, and will again this week. So I just want to say that, and I've told you this many times, Michelle, I think you're doing a great job, and I think Pima County and what Michelle has done with the Office of Digital Inclusion is a great example of what needs to happen in the state. In terms of partnerships, collaborations, getting grants, and all kinds of stuff. So I just want to, again, Michelle, to recognize the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much, Steve. You know, I'm a true believer in the fact that Pima County is a model for what we should be doing, but we're also good neighbors. We want to make sure that we're helping those around us. And leveraging our resources to create opportunity throughout the state. So thank you again.
You bet. So moving on. So Mala, do you want to give us an update? Any late updates on what's happening at the federal level or at the state level while you're at it with the state library?
Yes. First, I'll give you the State Library telehealth. We just awarded. In fact, we're in the process of sending the letters out to 3 libraries: Sedona, Wachuca City, and Douglas, for their telehealth projects. They're going to be what we call TAPs, telehealth access points. We're trying to make as many of our libraries as possible TAPs, and we will award some more next year as well. We are planning on doing that. We're also working on a grant called Potluck Grant, which is from Aging Arizona, Humana, and several other partners, MAG, Maricopa Association of Governments are all involved in this, and we are working on providing transportation to the aging folks, people who are also disabled and don't drive and can't get to the library or to their healthcare, to make sure that they get to the nearest point where they can get healthcare. We're talking about partnering as well with Michelle, so we will keep you posted on and update you on what's happening on that front. As far as the federal updates, FCC has just they put it out just a couple of days ago, the ESL list, which is the eligible services list for 2025. They do this annually, both for E-rate as well as now the hotspots, as well as except for cybersecurity, because that's a separate ESL list. They have this available for comments up to August 30th and reply comments up to September 16th. This is the list that will be used for services that are eligible for E-rate discounts 2025-2026. Once again, I want to emphasize that 2025-26 is the last year in the 5-year cycle that Category 2 is eligible. That Category 2 are internal equipment, internal connections, wireless routers, hubs, switches, or wired connections within the libraries and schools. For schools, they are based on the student count. For libraries, they are based on the square footage. If any of the libraries that have applied or haven't applied need to know how much there is left still that they can apply for, please get in touch with me. Don't leave money on the table right now. I think we're close to about 14 million that is still left on the table for us to apply for next year. I'm happy to talk to the libraries that are working on applying. Schools, I think Mylan has the figures for each individual schools, and for them too, this is the last year in this 5-year cycle that they can apply for. Hotspots, FCC has finalized the rules. Once I'm done talking, I'll put the link in the chat on the final rules. I think, unfortunately, so far we haven't had much progress on the ACP front. So congressional groups are working on it, hopefully also on the Universal Service Fund. We spoke about it at length last meeting, so I'm not going to repeat all of that. Any questions? Otherwise, back to you, Steve.
Okay. Thanks. Any questions for Mala? Okay, moving on. I don't believe Brenna is here or Judy, but Elena, I saw you online. Is there anything else you want to add? I don't know that there's much happening in the ACP space. But...
no, Mala just mentioned that. So Congress is out on recess. So we're planning to push advocacy for the program post-holiday after Labor Day. So we're gearing up to do that, and we'll have more information in the coming weeks. But yeah, there's really nothing happening right now.
Okay, thank you. So, Mala, I don't think I saw Anthony or Megan online. Megan, are you here by chance?
No, I think they're all in training
Okay.
today.
So do you want to announce, Mala, or do you want me to, that you're looking for a library technologist specialist?
Yes, you can make the announcement. I don't have the details in front of me right now.
Okay.
So if you would like to do that, that'd be great. Yeah, thanks.
Well, I don't know that I have a lot of detail, but the state library is looking for a library technology specialist. This individual will support implementation of emerging technologies in Arizona libraries, and they'll work directly with Anthony to coordinate the Connect Arizona Digital Navigator program. So that's the information I have, and I did put in the newsletter, I believe, the link to the to the job description if you're interested in that. So with that, I want to move on. So Peter, are you going to be able to stay online for a little bit, or do we need to get you first? Peter, are you there? Peter Costa, are you there?
He's giving you a thumbs up.
There we go. Okay, there. I couldn't find the unmute button. Yes, I'm good, Pete. I'm good, Steve.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead with our presentation then and come back to you if that's okay.
That's good.
Okay, so our presentation this morning is going to be Strider Dennison, who's the Senior VP of Sales and Marketing with WeCom, and Christy Baker, who's their grants manager, are going to talk about what WeCom's doing, particularly here in Arizona, and they are an Arizona-based company. And then in my conversations with Christy, that they are actually very engaged in doing digital equity and are thinking that they want to do more, and would love to hear from you folks about what you think and what an ISP can do in the digital equity space or digital inclusion space. So with that, Strider, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have something you want to share? I can stop sharing.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, and then I can share quick. I got a 1-minute video, just kind of a little fun about who WeCom is, and then we'll give you guys a little bit more information about us and kind of our call to action. Before I jump in the video, thank you so much, Steve, for giving us the opportunity to present. And we're proud to be here and part of this organization. Special thanks to Elena for the invite and getting me connected with such a great group of telecom professionals, and we're really honored to be here and appreciate the venue. Strider Dennison, Senior VP. I've been in telecom for a little over 25 years. I have sold throughout the state of Arizona, and my career has given me the privilege to sell and do business all across the United States, and focusing in rural markets, from anywhere from Delaware all the way to Portland, Oregon, and many communities in between. WeCom is a 68-year-old communications company headquartered in Kingman, Arizona. We've got about 150 employees, and we're really focused on building the most rural parts and underserved communities within northern Arizona. And we have access and services being deployed based on some grants that we've won and our own efforts in Mojave County, Yavapai County, and La Paz County. With that being said, I'm going to show you guys a quick 1-minute video, and then Christy and I will share some additional information. Let's see if I can get the technology to work for me. How do I get to the screen? Can you guys see my screen?
No.
Do I have to do anything special to get the sound? Share sound. Here we go. All right, there we go. Can I see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
At WeCom Fiber, we believe in the power of connection. High-speed internet is more than just fast downloads. It's a driver for economic growth, attracting businesses, and creating jobs. WeCom Fiber is Arizona-based, proudly serving our community since 1958. We care deeply about enhancing the quality of life for all residents. We're expanding rapidly across Arizona, bringing high-speed internet to unserved and underserved communities and enhancing connectivity for all. Our advanced fiber optics deliver ultra-fast, reliable, and affordable internet, ensuring seamless service all across the Grand Canyon State. Partnering with local governments, our aim is to meet the unique needs of each community, especially in rural Arizona. We take pride in our work. Our team is dedicated to installing the latest fiber optic technology to provide our communities with the best possible online experience. WeCom Fiber, proudly serving Arizona communities.
Hope you guys enjoyed our little video. It's something that if you're going to be attending the League of Arizona's towns and cities, you got a little sneak peek of our 1-minute commercial as we are the platinum sponsor for that organization. Some of the things that I think is paramount, you could see from our video that we're really focusing on the rural and underserved communities. And part of our initiative, and part of the reason why I've asked Christy to be part of this committee as well, is digital equity and digital inclusion. We know that our stakeholders in these communities are in a way that they are a little bit timid about the internet. They don't understand how to use it, and they become a little bit afraid of the potential of it. They've seen on the news or 60 Minutes the horror stories of somebody getting hacked and the email and just navigating anything from even as simple as IPTV. And I love the stuff that this committee is working on. And our call to action, our ask is really, we'd love to find ways to partner with organizations that are focused on digital equity and inclusion to be able to co-brand or to share best practices with venue stakeholders and other capacities to be able to extend the ability for our clients and hopefully mutual clients to be able to access the internet and have a really great engagement with the internet and be able to see it as a tool and then for entertainment purposes and telemedicine and teleeducation and all the great benefits of it, and not have that fear of not being able to get on the internet, mostly because we want them to have the access or inclusion. I'll turn it over to Christy, who's our grants manager and really our superstar when it comes to BEAD. She's leading the charge with our grants team, and I'll turn it over to you, Christy, for some additional color about WeCom and what we're working on. You're on mute.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for being patient. I'll be quick. My name is Christy Baker, and I have been in the broadband grants world since RDOF. And now I think back to that, I'm like, how long ago was that? But I've been in grant writing for about 20 years. First as an educator in public and diocesan schools here in the state of Texas, but also in the nonprofit area as well. So I've been on the side of the fence where a lot of our digital equity champions are our nonprofits, our community organizations, our Boys and Girls Clubs and 4-H and things like that. And so I feel like as a broadband service provider like WeCom, we have a responsibility to the people that we're serving that are marginalized, unserved, underserved, don't have the resources to even understand or be able to use or pay for their internet. We have a responsibility to facilitate and to help them move forward. I think for their health, for the education, for the economic welfare of not only just communities, but individuals as well. And it's good for everybody. And I've seen it as I've worked in other broadband companies. I'm relatively new to WeCom, and I've seen this play out in other rural areas where, it's difficult sometimes for the nonprofit, especially a nonprofit, by definition, not for profit. How do they even hire a grant writer? Sometimes they come to the table with, we really can't pay you, but we'll pay you after we get a grant. Well, that's not the purpose either. The grant money is not to pay the grant writer. So sometimes I feel like, we're players on the same team and we can come together because we want to serve the same community, and we can come together and pool our resources. But a part of being able to solve that problem of how do we come together, we have to fully understand who are the players in the communities that we are going to serve. So to solve that problem, we need to know who you are. Who are the people that are in the communities that we are looking forward to providing broadband internet? Who are the nonprofits? Who are the Boys and Girls Clubs? Who are the people that are championing broadband and championing, well-being, economic well-being, educational well-being, telehealth in those communities, so that we can reach out and work with them. And like I said, this is, WeCom has the reputation. We've been around for 68 years, but the broadband while it's relatively new, it has this exponential, crazy growth. And all of these funds are going to be thrown at it, in the next couple of years. All this broadband is going to become available. How do we serve those communities best? How do we make sure that it makes it into every household? That's my soapbox. I'll step down now.
Okay.
Thank you, Christy. I would leave you guys with this. When I look back on purpose and what's the purpose, why are we doing what we're doing? And I think it's bigger than just myself or WeCom or anybody on this call. I look back on my own growing up. I grew up in Eastern Washington in a rural community, down 7 miles of gravel dirt roads. And as a kid, I did not have cable television. And I know it seems goofy, but I'm of the MTV generation, right? And all my friends in town had cable television and MTV, and I didn't. And I felt that, when you go to school, you were the rural kid that didn't have cable TV. And, I look back on those formative years and not having something as simple or as silly as just the entertainment ability of cable television. I kind of look at this as similar to what we're doing in building out our rural communities. Is we're providing these communities the same level of technology that you would have in a major city like Phoenix or Tucson or Chicago or New York or LA. Now you have as much, if not more, capacity access to high capacity internet in a rural community like Quartzsite or Kingman or Siloam. And I am unbelievably proud of the work that not only WeCom is doing, but the work that we are doing as an industry to really empower our citizenship. This will lend for decades and generations, will transform our ability to be able to share and exchange information and knowledge. So for that part, I will leave you guys with this. We are proud to be part of this committee. We are proud to be part of this cause. And we look forward to partnering with you guys as a group, as an industry, on the future of Arizona and bringing our un and underserved communities up to the capacity of our most elite communities in the country, if not surpassing them. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward to any engagement opportunities we have. And we'd love to partner with you guys on digital equity and digital inclusion where it best fits.
So Strider, I apologize if I missed it. Sometimes I get distracted in trying to get things set up. Did you talk about all the different communities that you're now working in?
Yeah, we are currently growing. We are currently throughout Mojave County, La Paz County, and Yavapai County. And we are looking to expand in the future, but those are our core areas that we are focused in. We've got a number of other communities that we're working with, and we're going to be making some announcements here shortly about some of the additional work that we've done in communities we'll be serving as well.
Thank you. So anybody I'm going to go back to our view here and get the gallery. And so does anybody want to talk with them about, and of course you can do this after the meeting, but anybody interested in, first of all, sharing any thoughts that you might have about what they as an ISP can do in terms of digital equity, digital inclusion? Anybody want to open that up a little bit?
Strider and Christy, I can introduce you all to, his name's Dee Pinkston. He's the Director of Workforce Solutions at Chicanos por la Causa. I work closely with him. And they operate a number of the Arizona One Stop and the different workforce systems I think in 7 of the 12 counties. So I think they're in Mojave County, but Chicanos por la Causa has a huge reach kind of across the entire state. So happy to provide an introduction to him.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Chicanos por la Causa has been a great partner with us. Unfortunately, their representative who had been attending regularly has a conflicting team meeting at the same time, so we don't get to see him very often. But they are all over the place doing really great stuff. So thank you for talking about that, Peter.
I think it's great to hear active in Mojave, La Paz, and Yavapai. And I also think it's awesome to hear messaging on the passion to and towards digital equity, because you are a provider, right? You'll go out there, but to just recognize the value of knowing boots on ground and who needs it most, because it's easy at a state level to say, oh, we can do this statewide, but it really isn't until you're like in that town, in that community, to know who is, making it happen. So I'm just applauding that kind of presentation of who you are and the passion. I'll follow up with you later.
I appreciate that. No, we are hiring digital navigators as part of our staff. Our marketing team will have a field marketing and event supervisor, and nested underneath that role, we're recruiting for somebody right now. So if you guys know anybody that is interested in an event manager role, but nested under them as a supervisorial capacity, they will be managing the field marketing specialists who will have a heavy digital navigation component. And we'd love to certify these people with third-party organizations that kind of help add validity. And we don't want to be content creators, right? We're an ISP, and we're not staff for content creation. We're not staff for that. We would love to partner with organizations on providing either co-branded materials or co-facilitated opportunities, because we plan on getting out and doing a lot of grassroots work in the communities, setting up small forum meetings with community members to teach them the basics of how do I FaceTime my grandchildren, to what's the safe best practices for my kid when they're playing video games online, to I am an adult learner who's going back and getting my GED, or somebody that's afraid to do telemedicine because of somebody hacking into their computer camera. Like we want to find that spectrum of communication and help facilitate it in these markets. And we're building out relationships with community members now, and building out venues, because that's a very difficult thing to find, is just a place to meet. And we're actually working on building out a venue or a list of venues that we can partner with, and either providing them a high capacity internet or fiber internet in exchange for being able to use the venue for community events. So we're really thinking this through. We've got multiple plates spinning when it comes to our concept, and we'd love to hear more best practices. And again, like I said, partner with people and learn from you guys. And our intent is to not, we don't want to own it, right? We want to share it and co-brand this and co-facilitate when possible, because we think that there's a lot of value to that, to bring in experts who know more than we do. We want to provide the forum. We want to be able to help provide the collateral and help provide the venues and the vehicle of getting these things done. But we are at no means foolish enough to think that we can tackle it all on our own, and we need partnership. And I know this committee, and I've already gotten a lot of private messages throughout this. So thank you everyone that's messaged me, and I will be reaching out. But we would love to partner, and this is bigger than just WeCom or ourselves. This is our industry really giving back to the customers that we service.
Strider, I love everything that you said. I felt like you were speaking directly to me.
Oh.
Everybody on this call knows that the Arizona Technology Council is literally the place where you connect and grow, and has a pretty extensive statewide network. So I know I messaged you, and I look forward to our conversation, but everything that you're looking for, you're going to find it with us. And I'm so excited to be able to be part of your win, because we can definitely do everything that you just said that you don't want to create on your own. So I'm really excited for the collaboration that we're going to see between our two organizations.
And I was part of the Arizona Technology Council many moons ago when I worked at Integra Telecom out of Phoenix. I was a early member when the council started, 12, 15 years ago. And
20 years ago.
You guys do great work, and I would love to kind of rekindle that old passion with your organization. So I appreciate you reaching out. That's great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Strider.
So Strider, a couple of things. Are you guys still in need of having people who can help build your networks? We have two people on the line here. One you're going to hear from Peter Costa in just a little bit, and Bill D'Agostino in particular, who are working on workforce development issues, in particular related to BEAD and having people who can help you to build out your networks. So is that an issue for you?
You know, we're always looking for talent. We're always looking to be able to diversify our teams because there is going to be a huge demand on all of our organizations to be able to build this out in the timelines in which we're given. The short answer is absolutely. The long answer is I'm not the guy in charge of that stuff, so I'd have to make some introductions, but happy to facilitate that and make the introductions to our appropriate people internally so you can start that dialogue. So yes, please let me know, and we are willing to entertain all options.
Okay, great. So Christy and Strider, thanks very much for being here and presenting today, and we're glad to have you getting engaged with us again. So it's good,
thank you.
Good to see you.
And thank you everybody for the private messages. I'll be reaching out later this week and following up with you all.
Speaking of private messages, I want to remind everybody, while I do capture the chat and send that out to everybody, but if you're interested in doing that quickly, just a reminder that you can download the chat to your computer. So if you open the chat and go to the top, there's an ellipse, three dots, and you open that up and you can save the chat to your computer. Because I know there's lots of stuff that gets in the chat. It's like, oh, I wish I had remembered that. I wish I had that person's contact information. And again, I do provide the chat and of course the registration list for people. But if you want that like yesterday, then that's a place to get it pretty quickly. And so with that is good transition. Peter, you're on. Welcome back, Peter. Peter's been here many times because he's doing such amazing stuff.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Let me share my screen here. And I know there's we're coming up to the beginning of the hour, so I'll try to make this quick. Really, I'm providing an update. Part of this is the initiative that we're working on with ASU and the Jobs for the Future Green Jobs Regional Challenge. So we just completed a phase 2 pilot with some great partners, had some fantastic results. So I wanted to share those today and really look at what this means right now and what it means for the future, and then really just open it up for any discussion that anybody has or questions. So for those that aren't aware, I know I've presented here a few times, but I'll just walk through basically what we do at Baltu. So we are a social impact company. We are focused on creating alternative pathways to high-skilled jobs. So I'm Peter. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Baltu. Ultimately, we're just using modern technology to create scalable and accessible solutions for folks. And so our mission is to connect industry, education, and community through upskilling and training. So we work directly with industry. We work with different learning institutions like community colleges. We work with ASU. We're working with high schools. And then we also work a lot with different community partners. So we have a very strong relationship with Chicanos por la Causa, collaborating with them, and a lot of other nonprofits that are here. So essentially what we do is we have an online learning platform. We build everything in micro lessons. We have some interactive, high quality content. We develop it with industry experts, and we make sure that it's aligned with the different Department of Education requirements as well. We use gamified learning, so like games and activities, points and badges. We have an AI learning assistant that's powered by ChatGPT, and we have a bunch of hands-on activities that we can facilitate. On the online platform, folks can track progress, and so our really goal is like, how do you help those that are maybe not understanding it the best, so that way the instructor or whoever is the facilitator can help intervene and make them successful. So we use a facilitator model where we focus on mastery, And then what we do is we partner with employers to bring in their employees to serve as the technical instructors. And so I'll talk about how we do that. And then we're building a database of high quality candidates that employers can ultimately hire. So what we do is we provide free training to anyone. This is online training. We have career awareness courses, fundamental skills training, and then folks that finish these online courses, we can connect them with employers. Employers use us to continue to upskill and train their folks or onboard folks. And then different schools use us for using it for curriculum for their classrooms. But what I want to focus on today is our upskill programs that we've been running. So these are we call them pop-up classrooms, and they can really be hosted anywhere. We always align it with industry recognized certifications or standards, and it's very employer driven. So we do this not only in broadband, but we do it in advanced manufacturing, semiconductor, aerospace, green jobs is another focus that we're building data centers and also working with the trades. So what I want to highlight today is our phase 2 pilot that we worked on with ASU and Jobs for the Future. Essentially in this pilot, we partnered with ASU. We partnered with a local broadband company, Quality Communications. And then we also partnered with the Mesa Public Library with Jeffrey Stauffer at their makerspace. And so essentially what we wanted to demonstrate in this pilot was a scalable model to support workforce development in addressing green jobs. We also wanted to address the challenges that individuals face in accessing training. What we found is that a lot of people are working multiple jobs. They don't have the funds a lot of time for pay for training. Maybe they're in a rural area. They're not really the classroom learning type. So we want to make sure that we were addressing a lot of these challenges that individuals had expressed to us. And then we wanted to ultimately demonstrate that we can effectively place people in these high quality jobs. And so that was really our goals. So here's some images of what the program was. It was at the makerspace at the downtown Mesa Library. We had it, I'll go kind of the format, but basically twice a week for 2 hours. Folks were showing up, and we had the technical instructor from Quality Communications here teaching the class, and everybody really enjoyed it. It was a great experience. So I'm just going to outline what this program essentially was. It had 5 main components. First of all is just outreach. What we found was that employers have a hard time finding folks that are really motivated, that have we call it the aptitude and attitude. Maybe they don't have that previous work experience, but they're excited to get going. So what we did is we basically we published a free training page, and I can actually just show you this really quick. That the library shared, our different community partners shared. We put it on social media, and so individuals went through. They learned about the different career pathways that are associated with fiber optics, and they registered for the course. And so what we did is we had them go through about a 4-hour online training. What we were doing in this process is really trying to get them as aware as much as possible around what are these jobs? What will you be doing as a fiber optic technician? And then we introduced them to the basic concepts. From these 50 people, we saw about 17 people completed it, which is what we wanted and what we were expecting. And so of the 17 applications, we chose about 13, and they moved on to the online and in-person training. So this next phase of the training was really it was about 4 weeks long. Once a week, they would go through about 4 hours of online learning, and then they do the 4 hours of in-person. So they do 2 hours on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the library. And so those 13 folks all stayed in the program throughout the whole month. And then at the end, they are all guaranteed interviews with the employer partner. 9 were hired, or 9 are it just finished last week. So 9 are currently being offered positions. And then we have 4 that are pending. We have another employer partner that we're working with to get them placed in possibly a data center role. And then as those folks continue to learn, we have a lot of other online learning modules. They're going to continue to go on our online platform to get that reinforced learning. So what we found from the value of the program, we had, first of all, 100% retention of those cohort participants. They didn't have to pay a thing. It addressed those challenges that they had in accessing that further education. What the employer commented about was that they were able to evaluate these participants prior to hiring. So they were able to see, how did they work as a team? Were they showing up on time? Did they have the technical skills that they needed to succeed? How fast did they learn? Were they good at following instructions? And so the employer was able to see all of that before they offered them the positions. So normally, if an employer just had to hire somebody and kind of go through that learning process, evaluate if that person was a good fit, maybe that person wouldn't stick around in many cases. So what we found with the employers that it saved them about $48K in payroll and onboarding. And then because they went through all of this training prior to going out in the field, they were much more productive when they actually went out into the field. And so it saved them about $56K just through this program. So about $100K in immediate ROI on the program. And so it was a great success. This is what we were targeting. We were very actually kind of blown away that it was as successful as it was. So that's a little bit about the program. Just kind of talking about now what we're looking to do going forward is we have a great partnership with Chicanos por la Causa. They have about 300 VR headsets that they are sharing across the entire state. We built the VR experience as well. And so we built before a semiconductor career exploration module, an aerospace one. We're looking at building a broadband one, really sharing with different folks around the state, what does a broadband job actually look like? So that way they get familiarized with it. Once they finish that training or that VR experience, they can scan a QR code and start registering for these online programs. So that is what we're doing with the different nonprofits to help share the news. And then these are ultimately where we want to go, is that once these folks go through and become that entry-level technician, how are we working with them to upskill and train them so that way they can become a senior technician, possibly partnering with the university to become even a specialist or an engineer, ultimately leading to those like high quality, high paying jobs that are accessible for these folks. And I think that's just kind of a little bit about who we partner with, but we're really interested in partnering with community partners, with employer partners. What we also found for this program is that this essentially can be done almost anywhere. We could do these pop-up programs in smaller rural communities, just as long as they have some access to the internet. We could look at a way that we could provide this in an offline format as well. So now we're just looking at how do we expand this and scale this, and that's part of the grant that we're submitting for with ASU, is that we'd be able to get some funding in order to start doing these programs regularly. But that is it. Any questions?
So Peter, can you just talk a little more about the grant and what you need? You were looking, it may be too late, but you were looking for partners and/or letters of support for the grant.
Yeah, so for this grant, we're looking for letters of support from employers and community partners. So we have an employer council and an equity council. In this grant, it's not only broadband, but it's also in advanced manufacturing and semiconductor, and then it's also renewable energy.
So it's a green jobs. It's not just broadband. So just
correct. Yeah, like our thesis is our statement, I guess, is that all of these industries complement each other, and that's why it's supporting the green economy. These, electric vehicles are going to need to communicate through wireless communication, so they're going to need different types of infrastructure to support that. Semiconductor is building the chips that are needed to support fiber optics, but they're also building the solar panels and the solar cells. And so really this grant is around supporting this entire ecosystem that Arizona currently has.
Okay.
But we'll also have, there's other grants that we're submitting in the future. So what we'd love is if there are employers that are interested in engaging with us. Chicanos por la Causa is the grant writer for a lot of these grants that we go after. And so we'd be more than happy to partner with different employer and community partners for these future grants as well.
Peter, can you stop sharing, please?
Yep.
Yeah, Steve, Peter and I talked yesterday, and WIA is going to provide a letter of support as well.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
Okay, so any questions or thoughts for Peter? We're about out of time this morning. Are there any, Rory, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. So are there any other announcements, anything people want to share before we end for today?
So I got a quick announcement. Just that we completed the wireless link from Sholo into CiviQ.
Rory, you want to tell people who you are?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm with Triad Wireless. Hold on one second. My apologies.
Hey, Steve, really quick. Oh, while we're waiting on Rory, I just have a quick add-on really quick. So we also just received a grant from LISC, and that is Local Initiative Support Corporation, and Arrowette, which is a fair chance nonprofit. So we have funding to do this training for women that are justice impacted. The big challenge that we're facing right now is finding an employer that is open to hiring women that have a criminal record. So it's been a little challenging trying to find an employer, just getting connected into that employer community. So if there's anybody out there that has any sort of leads or recommendations, that would help tremendously. We'd be looking at doing this program in August. In October, and it would be entirely free for the employer to do that. So.
Peter, I'm in Tucson, but I know Goodwill of Southern Arizona has a second chance program.
Okay. Thank you, Vaughn.
Peter, I'll follow up with you as well for the areas here in Tucson as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm only going to take 10 seconds. And just simply, we completed a 3-mountain hop into CiviQ out of Sholo over the week in an area with no power and no assets. So CiviQ now has full high-speed internet for all of their residents. So that's pretty much it.
So unfortunately, he once again left before I could call on him, but Barney McCabe was on here a little bit earlier from the U of A. And many of you may remember Ash Black, who attended our meetings pretty regularly and is still very supportive of us. He started a new program at the U of A, an AI training program for students. And they are actually having an open house tomorrow from, I believe it's 10 to 4. I have to look at that. And I did include that in my newsletter. That is open. Anybody who is interested in learning about what these students are doing and perhaps looking at some potential partnerships. So if you're here in Tucson and want to attend, again, that information is in my newsletter, and that is tomorrow morning. So just FYI. Okay, anything else today? Any other announcements? Peter, thanks for being here again. Strider, Christy, thank you again for presenting this morning. We really appreciate it. It's good to hear from you guys.
Hey, Steve, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the amazing events happening at the Tech Council. We have our Smart Cities IoT conference in Phoenix, and then we have our Tech and Business Expo here in Tucson. Both fantastic events. The reason why I invite you all, one, is because I want you to experience the Tech Council, but more so even with the Smart Cities IoT conference, I love for you all to be there and mention the need and the conversations that we have in these meetings. So I encourage you all to go participate and be part of the conversation and add to the conversation by expressing the need and expressing the gaps that we all see and identify, because this is a great opportunity to talk to our industry partners, right? So I think it's important for you all to be there and bring attention to some of the things that we discussed in this meeting. So I put that information of the events coming up on our on the chat. But of course, always feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And I know that I traditionally give a discount to people in this group. If you are interested in attending, let me know and I'll send you the code.
Great, thanks, Carla. And it's good to see you. I get to see you every once in a while down here in Tucson, but good to see you today. Christy King, you just looks like you just turned on your video. Did you have something that you wanted to share this morning?
You're very observant. Yeah, I just wanted to throw out on Monday in Prescott, we're going to be having a workshop for digital equity. So if anybody's interested in working on digital equity in Yavapai County, I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to throw my email in the chat. So send me a line if you'd be interested in that.
So Christy, can you tell people who you are, please?
Oh yeah, I'm the public services librarian for the Yavapai County Free Library District, and we are starting the process of writing our digital equity plan for the county.
Great, thanks, thanks, Christy. And Victoria, I see you're online, and I did chat with what's his name yesterday, and so I think you probably are going to be talking to Pima County about a possible partnership with them. Okay, anything else? Anybody else has anything that they want to add? If not, I believe we're done for today. Let me just actually just say a couple of things. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing, perhaps even next week, starting next week, is again, when we're looking at the digital equity grants, that they're really encouraging people to develop partnerships. And so I was thinking that maybe next week we might actually take some time out of our meeting for people who are thinking about applying and maybe looking to partner with others to have a little open discussion about that. Is that something that would be useful and worthwhile?
I think that would be an awesome use of time with given this group. I was kind of hesitant to say whether or not I wanted to do a separate health and education type of, look in partnership call, because I see Erin in what she's doing on the 20th is kind of like that. So I'm not trying to be redundant, but I think that the timing of everything, Steve, the best use of time next week would be open forum. Everybody just go around and just see quickly who could partner and play where.
Okay, any other thoughts? And Lucy, I actually had a conversation with a woman who could not be here today. I believe she was in New Mexico, and she is actually looking at doing some programs consistent with the work you're doing. So I did tell her about you, and I will pass that information on to you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if we have nothing else for today, then I believe we are done. Before we go, there's two people who are on the phone. The 6302, who is that, please? Okay, and then the 520.
Yeah, that's Theo Rosinski. Sorry for that.
Okay. And then the 520 number. Okay. Well, I think we are. Oh, I think that wasn't Michelle. I think I got Michelle. Anyway,
just listening in a different room.
Okay. Well, I think we are done for today. Thank you all. Just a reminder that again, that on the 29th that we are having our forum on public networks. It's going to be an interesting program. So please mark your calendars. And again, you'll be getting an email that you can forward to others and encourage. If you invite at least one other person that you know that you think would be interested, and encourage them to attend that forum, I would really appreciate it. Okay. Oh, I was going to mention one other thing. In September, I'm going to be on vacation for several weeks, starting on the 11th through the 27th. So we will have a meeting before I leave, and then I'm working on my schedule of where I'm going to be traveling and where I'm going to have internet so that I can do at least one other meeting. Unfortunately, I'll be back on the 27th, and Thursday is the 26th, so I won't be able to do that. I probably won't be able to do that meeting. I'll be traveling, so I'll get the schedule out. So but right now I'm thinking I'm going to do two meetings during the month of September. I hope that's okay with everybody. And with that, I think we are done for today. So thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
If anybody wants to stay on.